As Shakespeare once said, what's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Many moons later, Robin Sharma said, maybe not as eloquently, that titles and designations are mere labels, often overshadowing the true essence of leadership. He did have a point though. It's often the action, the character, the mindset of leaders that set them apart from others and make them truly great. And today, as part of this episode of Leaders in Focus, I'm here at Waaree Energies to chat with the CHRO, Aniruddh Khekale. Without further ado, let's dive into conversation. Hello and welcome to another episode of Leaders in Focus. I have with me Mr. Aniruddh Khekale, who's the CHRO at Waaree Energies. So, thank you so much for being here with us today.
So yeah, my pleasure.
So, Mr. Khekale, let me begin by talking about Waaree's growth ambitions, which I'm sure you can shed more light on. When it comes to building the workforce capabilities, what specific initiatives are you rolling out to try and make this grand vision, this growth ambition a reality?
Sure. So let me step back a little and talk about growth which we have already achieved so far in last 2 to 3 years. So 3 years back, we were not even 20% or 30% of what we are today, right, in terms of the workforce alone. But renewable energy and our strategies and vision has really helped us to grow to this level. So when I look ahead, quite frankly, we're looking at perhaps doubling or tripling this number even in much quicker period of time. And as we get there, we have 2-3 things in mind. The first and foremost thing is how do we really keep up, to these skills that are required, not only for today but for tomorrow, because the technology is also changing very, very fast. So how do we really get there? Number one. Number two, productivity, right? How do we really ensure that we are ahead of competition, ahead of time all the time? The third piece that comes to my mind is we are working with the people, right? So how do we really keep that employee experience intact or enhance as we move forward? So those 2-3 would be our focus areas as we move forward.
On the topic of the growth ambitions of Waaree, Mr. Khekale, I'm sure there must be some particular challenges that you foresee when it comes to the acquisition of or the retention of talent. Could you perhaps shed some more light on that and how you're planning to address them?
So I think the first and foremost challenge is the renewable and the talent in the renewable sector itself is fairly new to us, new to all of us. And it becomes complicated because there is already a war for talent. So there are so many people out in the market trying to seek an opportunity to get a faster growth. Now for us to be able to really identify who is the right talent for us, that's the most critical aspect of it, rather than supply versus demand. There is enough supply to the demand that we have, but the skill set which matters to us, I think that's the most important thing.
Right.
And that's where we will focus on.
So let me also ask you one more question, Mr. Khekale, as a slight follow-up to that. Are there any lessons that you've gleaned over this vast professional experience of your own over decades that applies to your current stint at Waaree to try and overcome those kind of challenges and smoothen out that entire piece?
Right. I think whenever there is a new trend in the market, which is what I have seen, right? I have seen IT boom, I have seen retail boom, I have seen BFSI boom for that matter. Whenever this kind of thing happens, whenever this phenomena happens in the market, in the corporate, there is always a tendency for people to seek quicker moves.
Okay.
Right? And for us also to be able to take them on board and make them productive. Right? So those 3 things I have always seen happening around. So the focus of HR has to be, again I'm going back to what I said, perhaps in the earlier answer, that how do we really pick up talent which is trained enough or maybe good enough to make a start with us? How do we develop that talent and how do we make it productive in fairly quick
The few focus areas.
Those are the few focus areas which has always stayed.
So Mr. Khekale, you touched upon the employee experience a little bit earlier on. Talk to us a bit about how you go about measuring that and making it a fulfilling experience for people across all levels at Waaree.
If you really look at it from a talent's perspective, and if I put myself into shoes of any employee for that matter, what do I expect? I think there are certain dimensions of employee experience which really stand out. The first and foremost dimension is leadership and the management of the company. And employees are far more sensitive about how much leadership is walking the talk. Right? That can be seen, that can be experienced. I think that is number one. Number two is the career experience. Will I grow with this company? Will I learn something new?
Right.
Right? Will I be able to add to my skill set, which will take me ahead in my career? is my company supportive of my growth? Are there enough internal opportunities available for me to grow? Is there enough learning opportunity available? I think that's the career experience. The third important aspect is about social fabric in the company. Do I really belong here? When I come here, do I really feel like, okay, I'm in the kind of company that I want to be? And that social fabric is extremely important for people.
Right.
The next aspect I would say is the performance. If I perform well, will I get rewarded enough?
Right.
So these are 4 or 5 areas. And then how seamless is my life? Can I really perform my day-to-day activity? Do I have enough resources, tools, systems in place, policies that are supportive? So if you really look at employee experience, it is not a rocket science. If you really look at it, what an employee is looking for, I think then we find the answer. And we are working on this entire piece.
So as the custodian of one of the brightest brands in the renewable energy space, Mr. Khekale, how do you go about crafting an employee brand that resonates with potential hires and indeed the employees you already have in your ranks?
Quite frankly, we have seen such a huge amount of inflow of applications and inquiries onto us, right from the operating level up to CXO level, quite frankly. Waaree is very well recognized and getting recognized day by day, not only for the product and services, those are in any case, much ahead of, competition already, but even as an employer brand. Even if when I walk out of my society, when I say I work for Waaree and they know about Waaree already, I think that's a very, very good feeling to have. But that also builds a lot of responsibility onto us, once again, to maintain, that brand perception and image. And that's the reason we are, internally really working, very hard to make sure that we align perception with the experience that we provide.
Before I let you go, Mr. Khekale, one last question. Were there any words of wisdom imparted to you that impacted your career? And if so, how did that happen?
Okay, no, so frankly speaking, I was very lucky. Although I have spent all my career in HR, I have worked very closely with business, especially on the manufacturing side. The best advice I have ever got in my career early on is that what value you are creating. Always keep a focus on that. Every day you come into office, right? I'm thinking what value I have created for the company. At the same time, what value I have created for myself. Have I learned something new? If I look back 30 years back, the kind of companies that I've worked with, is that learning helping me today? And answer is yes. And that is where I believe that I have added a lot of value. Do they remember me back? They do, which means I have created some value out there. So I think net, that one simple question will help you to plan your day, deliver on what is expected out of you on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's a substantial piece of advice I got.
Exactly, something completely timeless. True then,
Absolutely.
true now, will
Absolutely.
be true even years into the future.
Absolutely.
Lovely. Mr. Khekale, thank you so much for being here with us as part of this episode.
My pleasure again. Thank you so much.
Two things became clear to me through my conversation with Aniruddh Khekale. His purity of purpose and his clarity of thought are what powers his success here at Waaree Energies. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Leaders in Focus. I'll see you in the next one.